Hey there, everybody! Today I'm going to be introducing another math contest, and that will be the NSF Math Bee. Now, the North South Foundation contest is actually a contest of multiple disciplines. It consists of spelling contests, vocabulary contests, essay contests, public speaking contests, and most famously, it's renowned for the Math Bee contests. Just to quickly take a look at the website over here, and you can see you can log in, and this is where you can usually get your scores from. Here's the US activities, and you can go here and look at the contest, and here's where you can take a look at the different levels of each different discipline. So it usually entails a junior, an intermediate, and a senior levels of contests. And at least in the case of math, there is a level 1, level 2, and level 3. So basically 3 levels per contest, usually at least. So yeah, that's basically what the site gives. There's a couple of other resources like you can sign up for coaching for different activities as well. But it's mostly the site where you can get your score from. And an additional thing you could have seen on the site was that the national finals contest date is August 13th for those who are taking the NSF Math Bee. If you're taking like spelling or vocab, that's actually on the 12th. So that's definitely the dates you want to mark up in your calendar. Now, also the site gives a general guideline regarding the rules of how to conduct these contests. As you can see here, there's MB1, MB2, and MB3, and it differs for each of the different levels. And the main difference is the lightning round, but we'll come to that later. The phase one, the written portion for each of these three contests, is most likely, you can say it resembles the AMC 8 the most because it has 25 questions and 40 minutes, which is the exact time limit and quantity of questions that the AMC 8 has, except this time the written portion is not multiple choice, it's free response. So you have to write your answers in an answer booklet at the end of the test. Now, phase two for level two and level three is the lightning round, and this is where you have like about 45 seconds per problem. I think there's like 20 questions, and basically this resembles the math counts countdown round. And actually, the level two, level three math B contests actually resemble math counts a lot, but we'll go into that in detail in a little bit. But the second phase of the Math B level 1, on the other hand, is actually another written portion. It's 20 multiple choice questions, I believe 20 minutes. So it's also a time crunch there as well. The main challenge behind the phase 2 in both these exams is that there is a very rigid time limit for both of them. Only about 1 minute per problem. In level 2 and level 3 is only 45 seconds per problem. Okay, so this is just a rough contest difficulty evaluation I kind of came up with. And you can see there's quite some overlap between, especially MB2 and MB3, but a little bit between MB1 and MB2. Now, MB1 kind of ranges from the basic level of word problems that are just like mere extensions of what you'll see at school. So we'll talk about what Singapore math really means to me, especially in a little bit. But that's basically just basic word problems. You can think of it like that, and it ranges towards an upper bound of MOEMS. That's the Math Olympiad series, which you've been looking at. Read a whole problem series in this channel, and that's basically the first level of competition math that at least I'll regard as competition math. And MB2 is that basic level of competition math, and it ranges to math counts nationals actually. So there is a quite a range on MB2 compared to MB1, but it's more like the simplest questions on MB2 might be the hardest questions on MOEMS, and the hardest questions on MB2 are more of the easiest questions on math counts nationals. And there is an overlap, as you can see here, between MB2 and MB3. But again, it's more like the hardest questions on Math Counts chapter are the easiest questions on the MB3, and the more easier questions on the AMC 10 are the hardest questions on the MB3. But as you can see, the MB2 and MB3 are mostly math count centric. As you can see, the whole lightning round is a completely different contest difficulty, as I state here. It's mostly math counts countdown round level. So MB2 is like states chapterish countdown round level, while the MB3 is more of the math counts national countdown round level, I would assume. Now, how to prepare? This is all the books at least I used to prepare when I was preparing for MB1, MB2, and MB3. And I like to call this the journey of a mathlete because at least I started out with the basic kind of word problem, which is basically an extension of different concepts you learn at school, and that's it, all covered in the Singapore math books. It's pretty well covered. These are actually different editions than the editions I had when I was growing up and becoming a mathlete, so it's probably a little bit different in terms of the contest difficulty. So I think you just make sure to do all the levels of Singapore math, and then you'll be pretty much ready for MB1. And I think the highest level of MB1 problems entails MOMS problems. You can see here there are four contest books. Now, actually, the only contest books in reality are the first three ones, at least from what I believe. Those are the elementary and middle school level contest problems from like 2003 to the present date. So I would suggest doing pretty much all the problems in those. There's two divisions of MOEMS or Math Olympiad. There's the elementary and the middle school level. I would suggest doing the elementary level, but if you have time, do the middle school level as well, especially for the older contests, which are a little bit more easier, like 2003, 2004. Do the middle school level for those contests as well. Now, this book, I mean, if you've done Singapore math, it's really not helpful at all. There's, it's kind of a poster book just for it just serves as the bridge between curricular math and basic word problems. But I think Singapore math does that in a much more problem intensive way. So I like that more. Even though I have listed this under problem intensive, that's more of the series, the overall series of Math Olympiad books. These are all written by George Lynchner, who founded the Math Olympiad. But it's really these three books over here which you're going to be really looking at in terms of preparing for the MB1 national finals. Now, as you progress to the kind of the next level of competition math, and you'll be preparing for the MB2 in that case, you're going to be looking at some of the basic math counts problems, and that ranges to the more harder math counts problems, including the chapter and state level. And some of these books are just collections, like this one, the all-time greatest math counts problems. It's basically collections of different math counts problems over the years. Instead of doing that, you can just do the competitions as well. That's also fine. You can just mostly do the chapter and state. Leave the nationals for when you prepare for MB3. That's usually a nice approach. These Josh Frost books, they're kind of state slash national level, so you could save like one of them for MB2 and one of them for MB3, or just try to solve the easier problems in these books for MB2 and then leave like the harder problems for MB3, or at least come back to them. You can do all the problems in these books, but at least come back to them and review them for MB3. And this book is pretty expansive. You might want to do it for MB2 and MB3, depending on which chapters you find easy and hard. I think mostly this is a chapter and state book, so this is mostly for MB2, but it's a quick reference guide actually. So it does summarize all the concepts in a very succinct fashion. So you might want to look at MB3 right before the contest. If you need a quick reference guide, just quickly look at this as well. And you also want to look at the AMC8 contest problems. And I'm actually going to cover that in the ongoing AMC8 contest problem series we have on this channel. So you can take a look at that series as it comes out. And that'll also prepare you for answering AMC8 level contest problems, which will occur on the MB2 national finals. Now, the MB3 national finals, at least when I took it, was much more conceptually driven. There was actually much harder questions that were more. They were more or less. They weren't exactly like MB2. MB2 was more of a math counts geared kind of a competition where it's almost a replica of math counts. But MB3 is more leaning towards kind of the same math counts level, but it's more going to the high school level of contest problems. So you can still do the introduction series. I think the introduction series does lean on some high school math concepts as well. It goes into the realm of AMC 10, which is kind of the next level after AMC 8 and math counts. So you can do all the introduction series. I would mostly recommend number theory, counting and probability, and volume one, because algebra and geometry, yes, they're pretty detailed at some points, but at other points, they're very curricularly driven, and they're kind of just viewed as sequels to something we do in curricular math at school. So it's really number theory and counting and probability in volume one, which I really thought were the most impactful in terms of learning for the concepts which will be at MB3 in terms of the competition problems. Now, volume one, just a caveat, it's actually more of a summary book. So if you can actually look at those chapters and find the different concepts and track them down in these different four different books over here, then that would be much more sufficient. This is more of a problem slash summary book which you're gonna look at. It's a quick reference guide, just like I said. The Jane Chen book was over here. This is another book which you might want to look at in the days preceding the MB3 test day, August 13th. Now, this is also very similar to Volume 1. It's kind of a summary book. It's a little bit more uh, involved, I guess, and it does go into some more hard problems. Like there's these casework problems that usually always trip me up, and it did a very good job of summarizing how to organize your casework and how to try to get try to be as accurate as you can on those problems. It does give a lot of tips and tricks in the back, especially there's lots of nice formulas and references you can take a look at, which will also be a very nice read just before the MB3 testing. Now for practice problems, like in these next few weeks, it's nice to just do some nice practice tests, get acclimate to the test atmosphere, I guess. It's nice to be more test ready when you're nearing the actual competition date. So to do that, you can look at some match stage slash nationals problems. And since this is MB3, it actually perfectly lines up because you can also do the countdown round as practice for the lightning round, the second phase of the MB3. And the written portion, the sprint round, and even the target round, I believe also, for the states and nationals contests can also serve as a good preparation for the written portion, the phase one of the national finals of MB3. And the first 20 problems of AMC 10, you can take a look at that. I think the MB3 is actually getting harder almost every year, so I think to prepare for that, it would be nice to do the AMC 10 as well. And just as a general guideline, you should always try to do as much as you can. So if you finished all these books for MB2, start a little bit on these books for MB3 because it's not all just about like winning or anything. It's about just gaining as many concepts as possible in the enjoyment of math. That's all these competition problems or competition math contests are all really about. It's just about enjoying math and enjoying it for the concepts and the elegance of those concepts. Now, here's some more online sources you can take a look at. We have the MOEM series and the AMC8 series for those of you who are aspiring to contend in the MB1 and MB2 national final contests. Those will be especially helpful for you. And I also have a complimentary blog and just a couple of notes. And there's actually a compendium of formulas I'm working on, which will be rolling out very soon. You can take a look at that as well. And AOPS.com, you can just quickly check this out. It's a nice forum slash wiki for AMC8 contest problems. It also has these different uh, resources like Alchemist. It's basically a learning system where you can look at different problems that are especially tailor made to the introductory series, which we looked at over here. Okay, and there's also something called FTW, which is it's for the win, and it's basically is a simulation of the countdown round. So that'll be especially helpful for the lightning round. in the national finals for those of you who are competing in the MB2 and the MB3 contests. Now there's something new called Math Counts Trainer. I think it's also somewhat geared towards the countdown round. You might want to take a look at that. And if any of you have any specific opinions on that, then make sure to post it in the comments below. There's also these new books, which supposedly are Singapore math level, I guess, called the Beast Academy books, also by AOPS. You might want to take a look at those as well, and also comment that down below. And there's also brilliant.org. This is mostly for MB3, so they can get a better sense of the AMC 10 level questions. But if you level up and get to like level 4 and level 5, I think those questions become much more hard. You can do them just for the love of math, but they're more geared towards AIME and higher levels of AMC 10 questions. And that's basically all you need to prepare for these contests. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you found this helpful, then make sure to subscribe, leave a like on this video, and see you next time.